Welcome back to Opa Podcast, episode 56. Today it's just me and Soup. Say hi, Soup.
Yo, what up?
Tonight, Griffin's working for the Wolves, and Wyatt came back from Nebraska very, very tired, so he won't be joining this episode. We may have a special guest appearance by someone who has been on the podcast. We shall see. But today we'll be recapping our victory over Nebraska last weekend, and then preview our pretty much our second to last home game of the season against Northwestern, and then any other things outside in college football, NFL, and any other takes as well. But going on from there, Soup, let's get on to recapping Nebraska here. So the Gophers won 20-13. Any quick reactions from that game?
Quick reactions. They only give up 3 points in the second half. They only give up 3 points after the first quarter. Really, you don't give up any points in the second quarter, third quarter, and you give up a field goal in the fourth quarter when you're essentially playing prevent defense already. So I don't know, it's another one where you don't really feel like the needle moved too much. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like this team got better as a result of this win, I guess. I mean, I feel like there is the potential for them to have, but we won't know until next week. But based on this game, watching what happened, I don't know if you can say that they were any better than they were the week before.
I have to agree. Just so the listeners know, I wasn't really watching the game on Saturday. I was doing other things outside of football, life things, and I came in. I watched a bit of the game early, like maybe part of the first quarter where Nebraska scores the 10 points. Didn't watch the rest of the first half. Came back around maybe, oh gosh, maybe like the last 5 minutes of the third quarter. So I missed pretty much like half of the game in between, and I was just disappointed. Same same we're running the same things. Like we give Mo the ball, we run the heck out of the ball. Defense doing defense things. Obviously, the defense allowed 10 points in the first quarter, but we didn't allow another point again. Whatever was game planned initially, as PJ said in his press conference, they had to throw it out. Joe Rossi threw it out the window, and like those adjustments in game, like even during the first quarter, after that 3 point play, or they scored their field goal, was like locked down the entire game. Like amazing work by the defense. I think our defense is going to be our strong suit moving forward. Still, on the offense side of the ball, our O line was not doing Tanner or the run game any favors
No,
during the
not
first
during the
half.
first half at
Yeah,
all. Not at all.
and
They looked surprised that Nebraska was trying. You know what I mean?
yeah,
They looked caught off guard by the intensity that Nebraska was playing with at home, which I don't think should catch you off guard, but they did. They looked surprised for the first couple. I mean, just talking about it, the game starts with a Nebraska touchdown, we punt, and a Nebraska field goal within the first 5 minutes of the game, pretty much.
mm-hmm.
Or no, what is it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So in the first 10 minutes of the game, touchdown Nebraska, we punt, field goal, 10-0. And then they don't score until they kick a field goal with towards the end of the fourth quarter when they need 10 points. They need 2 scores. So, I mean, the defense I think was fundamentally better, but I mean, still not a lot of pass rush. I mean, you had one sack from Cody Lindenberg, I think.
Yep.
But other than that, they were much better fundamentally. They didn't really give up too many big plays after that first couple drives once they figured out what Nebraska was doing.
Yeah.
But I think it's more I think we're going to spend a lot more time talking about the offense, because on defense it was literally just they caught you for the first couple drives, and then it was same old, same old.
Yeah, and I do want to do some credit to the defense before we dive a big deep dive into this offense here, Soup. Tea time, Terrell Smith got a pick.
Should have had
This
another one
game
too.
should have as well. So amazing game from him. even though like primarily in terms of like the defensive backs is Howden, Newbin, and Wally that we've always been talking about. But it's great to see Tea Time get something in there for his. I think this is his last season, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
So great plays by Tea Time. Defense played great. That I think Cody Lindenberg, like even though I think this may be a second, I think is this second or third year into the team, including his red shirt. Um, I am very excited about this guy. Like he is very, very talented, very athletic as well.
Yeah, you
And
just see it out there. He's got that sideline to sideline speed where he
yeah,
can actually cover the entire field. Whereas, we're used to a guy like Mariano who, like, he's a good player, but he relies a lot on his smarts and his instincts to
yeah,
to get him where he needs to be. Whereas Cody's just got that next level juice. So, you
yeah,
know,
for sure. But other than that, yeah, and also Cody Lindenberg actually led the team in defensive statistics as well. He had 5 solo tackles, 3 assisted for 8 total. Um, then behind that, Tyler Nubin, Mariano, Terrell, Jordan Howden got all in there in terms of the top five. So
yep.
amazing game from all
And
these
they did have
guys.
4 sacks. I said they had one, they had four,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is good, but I think it's mainly because you're playing bad quarterbacks. So
correct. And yeah, so amazing game by the defense. They kept pretty much Chuba Purdy contained, and also Logan Smothers, who came in as well into the game. So amazing game by the defense, especially against that their wide receiver core. Because
yeah,
coming into this game, we knew we had to cover Trey Palmer and try to make someone else on their receiving core beat us, and we did
yeah.
that.
And Marcus Washington had that like one big catch down the sideline that
Correct.
they looked at for a while and ruled it a catch, which like it was ruled an incompletion on the field. Not sure if there's enough video evidence to overturn it. I mean, I thought there was personally I thought it looked like
Mm-hmm.
a catch. But I mean that was like the only big play they really had all day. They had like a couple of big runs, but like not enough to really
Yeah.
make a dent in anything. But they just couldn't throw. Like you could clearly tell that they had no faith in either of their quarterbacks that they were trotting
Correct.
out there. They just, especially against a good Minnesota secondary, they just did not want to throw at all. And
Correct.
they had a lot of success early in the game running the ball because
Yeah, with
it's
Anthony Grant.
yep, and it's because of the same things we've been saying in the first half. Every first couple drives all year, it's bad tackling, bad gap discipline, bad eyes. Like that's still kind of going on to start the game. I don't know if it's like they're seeing something on film with blocking schemes and they're like overcommitting or something, but I don't know. It's like the same, like the first 3, 4 drives, it's like the same bad fundamentals in the run
Yep,
defense every game, and it's just really aggravating.
it is. But other than that, again, like to all this, like I think you and I are just very, very nitpicky with the defense. Like it's a very great defense for the
Yeah,
last couple years under Joe Rossi. So there's like again, we're just nitpicking because that's how like perfect elite we want
yeah,
our
yeah.
defense to be. But they played an amazing game, keeping them under at 13 points, 10 after the first quarter, up until like mid late fourth quarter to get when they got that field goal. So again, amazing game by them. But
Yeah,
I just want to give them their due before we
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was
rip
gonna
the
say,
offense.
like they obviously adjusted, and then after that, it was lights, like it was over.
Yeah,
After that, it was just done on offense for Nebraska. So, once the adjustments came down from Rossi, they just had no answer, and that's obviously great. But you can hang your hat on this defense, which is nice. It's
yeah,
just some of the stuff like the fundamental stuff. I feel like we keep harping on it because it just keeps popping up, and it
correct.
and that's how you lose games against better teams, and
Yeah,
everybody knows that. So
for
I think we're
sure.
just going to keep talking about it until it
Yeah.
goes away.
But actually, I do want before we nitpick on the offense, actually, Soup, I do want to cover special teams because this is why it's specialty, and he did make it in in the last episode that he made a open letter to Matthew Trickett to not miss a kick this game, which he did. So Matthew Trickett was 2 for 2, one from 49 and one from 47, to get us
They're
6 points
big
this game.
time.
Very big time kicks. I have to say, if this was the Matt Trickett of last year, he might have missed those kicks. Like it's a 50-50 chance he'll make one of those long 47, 49-yard kicks, but he was perfect that day. So kudos to him. And he got Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week. So shout
Yeah,
out to Matt as well.
yeah.
Um, Dragon Kesic kicked off 5 times. All were touchbacks. Can't complain about that. I will have to say though, and I have to complain about this. Um, we played Rutgers last week or the week prior, and then we played against Nebraska. I swear, whenever I see Mark Crawford punt, I just feel disappointment because he only had his average this game. He had 6 punts, was average of 37 yards, and his long was 45. But again, of the three, 50% of his punts though did pin him in the behind the 20. But other than that, I'm like,
One was a pretty bad snap too. One
yeah,
was low. One was a pretty low snap that I was just surprised he got off.
yeah. So like, I'm nitpicking at this point. Like again, Mark Crawford like hasn't been too great, but not too bad. Like just average as
Well, he
punter.
hasn't been consistent, and
Yeah,
like his whole thing is like he wants the ball to hit the ground and roll, because like the Aussie punter thing is like been like kind of all the rage like in college, and like not really in the NFL right now, but more in college. It's like like we saw it with Rutgers' punter, right? The guy, he like runs, he like catches it, runs a little bit to the right, hits kind of like a low knuckle ball that hits the ground and rolls for another 20 yards.
yeah,
And the perfect way to combat that is to do exactly what Nebraska did, and you just come up and catch the ball. You just don't let it hit the ground. Like that whole style is like dependent on you punting the ball away from the returner and having it bounce and roll, because they do not want to field the ball after it hits the ground. So they did a good job of coming up and catching the ball and not really letting it bounce. Like they got one in plus territory. I think it was the low snap one too,
yep.
that he boots out of his own end zone, and you just see their guy basically catch it like almost a full sprint. Like he's just not letting it hit the ground, which is good coaching.
Yep, it is. So again, it's nitpicking, but amazing. Also, another great game from the special teams
It's not
unit as
nitpicking.
well.
You need better
Yeah,
punting. Punting needs to be
yeah,
better. Like Trickett, love you. Great job. 47, 49. Those are NFL kicks. Good job, buddy. Like, but the punting, like, it just needs to be better. And, blocking on kickoff is also like, it's fine.
and I will also say too, Quinton Redding, our punt and kick return specialist. Um, Slow game, not slow game, but like nothing that would blow the window. Like pause, mainly pauses. No, he didn't lose any yardage, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, they were doing a good job on kickoff of taking that like nice big loopy kick where it kind of lands inside the 10, so you can't let it go over your head in the end zone. You have to field it and either fair catch it or try and return it. So
Yeah,
they were doing it. I think Nebraska had a nice game on special teams
yeah, they did too.
for them.
But
So
going on from there, let's take a scalpel and dissect this. Going and go for offense. So I kind of, if you're okay with this too, let's split it by the two halves, like between halftime,
yeah,
because I think
because it was a
yeah,
tale of two
a
halves.
tale of two halves. So we were scoreless this first half. Tanner was the quarterback for the first half before he went out, according to PJ, upper body injury. But to any of the fans that are watching, it's
It's a
likely
concussion.
Yeah. And also I do want to note two concussions in the same month
In 3 weeks.
in 3 weeks is really scary. I hope Tanner's okay
Yeah,
as a person, as a human being. So
yeah, yeah.
outside of that, he was only 6 for 8 on passing, 38 yards. But outside of that, Mo did not have a great first half rushing the ball. Like the O line did not give him any favors. Um, Nebraska's defense essentially was playing like ours, like very lights out, swarming to the ball in the first half there to stop the run game. And also
Oh,
when we put in Trey and Pot during the first, I think they did put him in the first half. They're just getting tackled behind a line of scrimmage as well. And also receivers didn't get much separation, I think, when I was watching the first half. What are your thoughts on the first half here?
yeah, well, like the first few drives, like I said earlier, they just were like surprised with the juice that Nebraska came with, and the amount of pop that Nebraska was giving them off the line. And then I think Nebraska was doing some fun stuff on the line and with their scheme too. They were, with their extra box defender. A lot of teams will bring a safety down for their extra box defender. Nebraska was playing with an extra corner in the box, which was
Mm.
pretty interesting. But it was a lot of like, it's weird because it's like it was a lot of execution errors. It felt like to me in the first half, like you have Brevin drop an easy first down. right
Yep.
off the hands. You have Michael
Hmm.
Brown Stevens try and have another interception hit him in the chest because I don't know why he's so good at that, but apparently that's his thing. And you would when it comes to the offensive line, it's like they're all like good, solid players, except for maybe the right tackle, who I'm not a fan of. But uh, usually, what would happen is it would just be like one person having a bad rep, right? Like one person having a bad rep blows up the whole thing. So like they play well
Hmm.
as individuals, but as a unit, they're just like not consistent right now, which is not great. You saw them try and go to the outside zone early and often, and they just were not. They're not flowing like as a line properly as they would move across their zones, and it's just like
Yeah.
I don't know. You just can't have consistency in the run game like that. And the one thing you need from this offense is consistency in the run game because it really feeds everything else.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I really don't have much more. Like it was a terrible first half. Everything we talked about at the start of the segment and talking about now, like it was a struggle, in all phases of the offense.
No, yeah.
So I don't have
No,
much
the
more to
first
say.
half was basically, I mean, you got pushed around in the trenches on both sides of the ball in the first half, and you just did not execute anything on offense. And you were, bad fundamentals, undisciplined, and inconsistent and you got out physical, right? Like
Correct.
that's not a recipe for success, and that's why you're down 10-0 going in the tunnel. I mean, it sounds boring to talk about it like this, but like they just weren't doing anything. Like they really weren't. They were just spinning their wheels out there for the entire
Yeah,
half.
for sure. But despite that first half, we go into halftime. I'm not sure what PJ said to them and what the players said to each other. Obviously, because we do have a very veteran led team with the Gophers currently. But whatever happened at halftime, we came back out in the third quarter with Ethan at quarterback now. Tanner is out with a quote unquote upper body injury slash concussion. So Ethan is taking the snap. And a fan made this note. Remember when Tanner stepped in at the second half of Nebraska back in
18
2017,
or 2018.
2018?
Yeah.
That was when like someone said, "Oh, Tanner's rise to like become the starter," and I'm like, it seems very
Zach
cool.
Annexstad's injury.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like very coincidental, but I'm not again. Like I hope again Tanner's okay.
Well, the Gophers got boat raced in that game in 2018, so
Correct,
at least they won this one.
correct. But Ethan came out amazingly. The stats don't really say the entire truth of Ethan's game. He was 6 of 12, 50% on pass completions, 137 yards, but no touchdowns and no picks. Like he played a very efficient game at quarterback. The thing that I saw from his game was that he, like Penn State, even though we lost that game and he came in for Tanner against Illinois, he was not rattled. He looked very calm. He looked poised, um, and he slinged it this game. Like I think we had some
Yeah.
explosive plays for actually 20 plus yards to Dalen Wright and Daniel Jackson. While I think one of them of the explosive plays we did not get points out of it, but we were in Nebraska's zone. The next was we scored the touchdown or they'll go to the field goal, then a touchdown, and like by having that open up in terms of the passing game, Mo and then also of course Ethan made the chance to get yards on their feet on the rushing
Yeah.
attack as well. And overall, we scored 20 unanswered points in the second half. Nebraska, of course, will score 3, and then from there, PJ was just playing keep away, milking the clock for the rest of the game. And I thought this was a very different team. Like we actually stepped up in the trenches, even though like I thought it was still some spotty stuff on the offensive line. We looked better offensively throughout the entire half, and I was like,
Yep.
damn, like it is a tale of two halves,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, I mean the pass. I mean, like you said, it was still kind of inconsistent across the offensive line the second half. But I mean, you have a much more mobile and athletic quarterback in Ethan, and that covers up a lot. Ethan had 3 carries for 27 yards. I think 2 of those at least are first downs. Um,
Mhm.
so with a long of 16, like he's not afraid to tuck it and run. And I think he did a good job deciding when to do that. And just to speak to the offense and how it was over those 2 halves, both quarterbacks have the same amount of completions.
Yep.
One has 137 yards, one has 38.
Right.
So, I mean, that's 11 yards per attempt for Ethan and 4.8 yards per attempt for Tanner. So, I mean, you can see, I think you also saw in the play calling and the kind of plan that they came out of the tunnel with, you saw exactly what they think of Ethan. I think that you could see why they're so excited about this kid. Like, he is a very quick decision maker. He's got an absolute hose for an arm, and he is not afraid to sling it. Like, Tanner, a lot of times will pass up tight window throws in lieu of protecting the ball and maybe check it down, or tuck and run, or we've seen him take sacks. But he's just from a quarterback standpoint, he's much more conservative. He's much more of a game manager, right?
Yep.
That's not Ethan Kaliakmanis. Ethan is gonna rip it. That's what he does. And it's kind of refreshing to see the offense when they were moving the launch point and they had an athletic quarterback. And, you run like a 10-yard in to Daniel Jackson. He comes out of his break and the ball hits him in the chest and on a line. You throw a 50-50 ball down the field to Dalen Wright, who makes a play on the ball, goes up, attacks the ball with his hands, MBS take notes, and, comes down with it. Like, you had I think you had a more confident quarterback out there for the
Yep.
second half. He just looked like he was playing a little more confident and a little less apprehensive to turn the ball over, and much more willing to say, no, 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 I got this. Like,
Yep.
let's do this. So
If I
that's
have
great.
to note about Ethan, I think he has a moxie or like an it factor that I felt like we haven't really seen in the Gophers quarterback. I think ever. Like I started following around the Mitch Leiner era.
Yeah.
So like again we had Mitch Leiner, Connor Rhoda, Demery Croft splitting duty, and then Tanner
Oh,
and
don't forget
Zach
about Chris Streveler.
and Chris Streveler as well. So
Arizona quarterback, Arizona Cardinal, Chris
true,
Streveler.
correct. But we haven't really seen a quarterback with that moxie. Like I thought Ethan has that. Like I can't describe his moxiness, but he reminds me
I believe the football term is poised.
poise. Yeah, he unafraid to sling it. Like he has very the energy exudes like a Payne Man. Like from I don't want to compare it to NFL quarterbacks, but like when Payne Manning or Patrick Mahomes, Josh
The guys in the pocket who are just not phased by anything else that's
correct.
going around
Like
them.
that's
That's
what
what,
I
yeah,
see from Ethan,
yeah.
and I love that so much. I think some of the nicknames Twitter and other media has given him, like the Greek Freak, and
The Greek rifle.
yeah. So I'm very excited at what he can do. Obviously, we don't know what's gonna happen with Tanner. Being PJ, he's gonna keep it day to day, not gonna let us know until game time on Saturday. But I won't be surprised if we see. Like, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but I won't be surprised if we see Ethan in the starting lineup again for this game.
I would lean towards Ethan playing this week
Correct.
right now.
But
I do not think that. I mean, I think 2 concussions in 3 weeks is scary just for like the health of a player,
correct.
and a person. And I don't know how, if you're this coaching staff, you can look at the second half of this game and go, yeah, let's just not do that. Like, our offense has been struggling. Let's just not do the 20 points we put up in the second half. Like, they had a better rhythm. I felt like they were more balanced. I felt like Ethan being a more athletic quarterback threatens the defense a little more than Tanner does and forces them to be a little more honest than they
Mm-hmm.
already would be, because I think they just attack Tanner and they say, go ahead and beat us. And I don't think they're afraid of Tanner beating them over the top. Ethan can beat you over the top pretty easily. He's got the arm. Like, if you have you saw Daniel Jackson runs a slant go, absolutely cooks his dude. Like, absolutely, takes this dude's ankles from him, and he's running wide open. And I think Ethan is so surprised at how open he is that he underthrows him by about 3 yards, because if he puts that ball in stride, you know, Djax is bumping his head on the goalpost.
Yep.
So I think you can see like you can kind of see why they're so excited about him. You can
Yep.
see all of that stuff, like what makes him a little bit different than just the prospects we've had in before playing quarterback,
Yep.
right? Like just from an athletic profile standard. So I would lean playing eighth in this next week because I also don't think you have a better opportunity to get your young quarterback some confidence or get him up to speed than against, a not too great Northwestern team. But I mean, I know you're probably worried about Pat Fitzgerald, blah blah blah, coaching him up. You out talent these guys. Put the kid in. Let him sling it. Let him get comfortable before he's got to
Yep.
play Wisconsin and Iowa.
And I will also want
Because
to note.
I
Yep.
don't know personally. I don't know. I have no like inside knowledge. I've got nothing here. This is just me. I kind of think this should be it for Tanner because it should be. I mean, like he obviously deserves to, come out and if he's healthy, he plays. He's QB1. That's just the way it is. That's what they're gonna do. But I think two concussions in 3 weeks. Like Tanner's not making it. Tanner's not playing in the NFL. Like let's medically retire almost and just help Ethan out for a few weeks and give him a nice springboard into his future.
Yep.
So
And
I just don't.
I totally agree. Like, um, I know stats wise, like Tanner didn't play well. He didn't. He was like a little flustered during this game, but you gotta consider the human life factor. Like, he got married this past summer. I think it was this summer, with his wife. You know, he has a lot to look forward to. I think Tanner's story got onto ESPN's Game Day, talking
Yeah.
about his dad.
If you haven't seen that, go watch
Yeah,
that
go
and
watch it.
bring the Kleenex because it's a
Yeah,
tearjerker.
I cried during that, and
Yeah,
I'm kind of getting tears right now.
I know it's tough. It
But I
was a
think
tough one.
Tanner has a lot to live for. Also, he looks like an amazing guy. Who can teach and be a coach as well.
I was gonna say this. It might be the end of his playing career, but I do not think it's the end of his football career.
Correct. So, like whatever happens with Tanner, please, like if he's still dealing with that concussion, and like that kind of things mentally,
Yeah,
and with
I
the
think
game
if
as
you have
well.
two in 1 month, it like puts you in like a different level of
Correct.
protocol.
Correct.
So I mean, I think they've got
Knowing this
a lot.
staff as well, like this medical staff, like they're not going to
Yeah,
jeopardize the players. Like even though like there may have been other like as you probably saw it, those controversies. Like there was a U of M professor that got let
yeah,
go, who thought PJ and his staff wasn't taking care of the players. But then you see like Carter Coughlin, Thomas Barber, like those
the
seniors,
players. Yeah,
like especially those that were part of like Jerry Kill, Tracy Clay's era,
Winfield.
Winfield stepping up for PJ because like they do care. Like remember Antoine tore his ACL and MCL multiple times during his time with the Gophers, and we
Hmm.
didn't bring him back until he was for sure ready by the medical staff.
Yep.
So whatever happens, I hope for the best for Tanner because that's scary
Yeah.
overall. So
And the
whatever
other thing
happens,
yeah, the
happens.
one last thing I'll say about his play, because you brought it up there for a second, was that like he looked a little flustered and he looked a little like uncomfortable in the pocket. And I think a lot of it comes down to I don't like Tanner doesn't have the arm strength to make some of these tight window throws on some of the plays where you need them. Like on like an in breaking route over the middle of the field, you got a defender trailing your receiver and you got to worry about guys on the right side of your vision that you maybe can't see. I don't think Tanner trusts his arm as much in those throws as like a guy like Ethan does. And I think you saw that in the second half. You saw a lot of those intermediate routes over the middle of the field where he's just ripping it. He's just ripping it. He's putting on the numbers. You might have a guy on your hip pocket, but it's hitting you in the chest to catch the ball. And I don't think Tanner makes those throws, just
Mm-hmm.
decision wise. I don't think he even attempts to make those throws because I think with his arm, they're a little too they might be a little too risky.
Yep.
But, Ethan, you know, I think that's another reason that the offense looked better. I don't know if I mean the receiver play was better. I thought Daniel Jackson had an amazing day. He had a great day. I think that's 2 games in a row where it looks like he's kind of figuring it out against the more tight man coverage.
Yep.
But I don't think it was like wildly different receiver play between quarterbacks. I don't think that's what what we saw. I think we saw a different philosophy on offense. I think we saw an
I would
offense
agree with
that
that.
wasn't afraid to throw the ball first. I think I think you become a more balanced team with Ethan. So
Oh, for sure. And I do don't, I know we're talking about quarterbacks right now, but I do want to mention again the receivers had a great game, as you mentioned. Soup, Daniel Jackson played great, but also we cannot forget the Mohammed Ibrahim.
mhm.
32 carries, 133 yards, still continuing that 100 yard per game record
17.
at 17 now. But also 2 touchdowns. So he's not just he didn't just break Daryl Thompson's record last weekend, but he's still making the records
Yeah, yeah, he's
going
pushing it.
forward. So great game by Mo. Even though again first half, if we're being honest, he didn't play great, right? And then in the
I mean,
second
he
half,
didn't have much to do and much to go in the
correct.
first half. He had a few runs in the first half. He has like 3 or 4 of these runs every game where he's like dead to rights in the backfield, and all of a sudden it's 2 yards, 3 yards. It's like those don't look pretty on the stat sheet,
Yeah,
but like on film and like watching them in person, it's just like that should have been a 5 yard, should have been like a 3 yard loss. Like
yeah,
he gets a handoff and like makes a guy miss immediately and then falls forward for 2 yards, and it's like, huh?
yeah. And again, Mo play lights. I think with him being the backfield during the second half as well with Ethan, those two does like synergy, complement each other in the passing and rushing game. So
Hmm.
again, amazing day for that second half. So
Mo's also playing hurt right now. I think
true.
you can tell. I think you can
Yeah,
really tell he's playing hurt right now. So
yeah. And I have to touch on this. I still get when Mo is out, I don't trust Trey or Bryce in the backfield. Like
yeah,
they got tackled by the worst rushing defense behind the line of scrimmage during their I think yeah, Bryce only had 1 carry, Trey had 2. And
a lot of times your running
yeah,
backs getting tackled behind the line is an offensive line issue, but you also do have. I mean, it is your job as a D1 running back. Your job is to break
yeah,
tackles. So I mean, both ways there. So
correct. So, but other than that, we can wrap it here. Like, Gophers won 20 to
so yeah.
13, and we were now bowl eligible. Like,
Yeah,
that's all.
almost, barely, because PJ did his best. He did his best there at the end. I don't know if you saw the ending sequence, but I don't know if you saw the last 90 seconds of the game or so in game clock time. But he really did try to give the game away at the end there. Um, I don't know, like let's start first with just like the whole sequence of
Yeah,
Ibrahim runs.
I didn't
So
watch
it's like
this part, so go ahead.
yeah, so Ibrahim runs on third and whatever, right? And they rule him, they give him a first down. PJ calls his last timeout. Now, I don't mind this in the moment. Like there were some like bad timeouts earlier because basically all the timeouts you burn are special teams related because your special teams is like out of position or whatever, which those are bad. We don't need to talk about it. Clean that up. Those timeouts won't be used worse, like badly after that. This last one gets used after the first down, where realistically the game is over with this first down.
Hmm.
Like the game's done. What he's doing is he's calling a timeout. All right, everybody get some water. Let's put it away. Like we got the first down. Let's refresh. We have 3 plays now to end this game. Now what happens is during that timeout, you get a little home cooking. The home cooking starts coming in for Nebraska because Mickey Joseph doesn't have any more timeouts. They don't have any more timeouts on Nebraska's sidelines. But somehow, like 5 minutes after this was ruled a first down, a review gets called down for. And the camera's just showing Mickey Joseph talking to the official this whole time. So to me, I'm like, are they letting him like kind of get another challenge here? You know?
Yeah,
He'd already used it earlier in the game. And he has no more timeouts. So you can't challenge if you don't have any timeouts either.
but somehow they did and
But
ruled him
somehow the
short.
review comes down 5 minutes later and then they overturn it.
Oy.
And they say he's short, 4th and 1. And then like kind of chaos breaks out on the field. Like Mohammed Ibrahim's waving, trying to wave the offense on the field. Him and John Michael Smith are like yelling at PJ, "We want the ball, we want the ball."
Yeah.
And
I
And
saw those clips.
I listened to PJ's post game, and he said that the entire offensive staff was having a discussion in his headset while this is going on because they found out it was fourth down late because they thought it was first down still. Then the review came in late, and PJ's like, Why are we reviewing this?" And
Yeah.
then they review it, they overturn it. PJ is like lighting the officials up. He's screaming at the officials. He's got his headset off. He is screaming at the official, like, how can you overturn this 5 minutes after I called a timeout because I thought I had first down? I want my timeout back, is probably what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
Like give me my timeout back then because I'm not calling a timeout if it's fourth down. I don't care, about the clock. Why would I call timeout? And so all of that's going on. And then he says in his post-game presser that they had 2 plays that the offensive staff could not choose from. And he basically said, since you guys can't choose, we're punting. Which, like,
So
I just don't.
So from my view, let me chime in here
Go
so
ahead.
you can get your thoughts together. So from what you described and from what I've seen on Twitter and on social media, obviously, so the vibes I got. So the team was not expecting that call to get turned back, obviously.
No, nobody was.
And we were planning to keep keep milking
It shouldn't
the
have
clock.
even been reviewed. I don't even know how it was reviewed.
Correct. So I get that. And then PJ and the staff are trying to figure shit out on the headset, in the booth, and on the field. And of course, we know PJ. He will go off on the ref, on the officiating staff
When he has to.
a BS call, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that I think I disagree with, from my perspective as a fan, as a viewer of the game, you should have gone for it. Like you have Mohamed Ibrahim, like Mo. I trust Mo to make
top 3 running back in the country
to make that first down. Or if it's 4th and 1, you line them up and do a QB sneak. Like we've done it before. Like
you've got your bigger quarterback.
Yeah. And
Ethan is 6'4". What are we doing?
And then we punt, and I'm like, the fuck? Of course, I'm not watching this. I'm like, why is the thing not refreshing? Like, obviously, I see the timeout PJ takes, but my app is not, like, I'm refreshing like every 10, 15 seconds. Like, what is going on? Like, why is this not refreshing? And I was like, oh, we punted on 4th and like inches according to the app. I'm like, what? I'm mind blown. So I get home way later tonight. Like it's like midnight, 1 a.m. And I'm like, oh, WTF. So
yeah,
go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off there. But
no. I absolutely needed to be cut off, or I would have just lost my mind. I was watching the game with a bunch of friends, and we like saw the 4th down come up, and all of us looked at each other, just like, okay, cool, whatever, hand it off to Mo. Who cares? Like, we'll get one, right? Like. That's kind of his thing, like he'll get it for you. That's what he does. And then we see like the punt unit start trotting back out. And I'm just like, no. And all of us are just like, what is happening? And I remember somebody saying he should lose this game just for this decision.
Yeah.
For this decision, he should lose this game because if he doesn't, he's going to do it again. You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that. It's like this decision should cost you the game, but it won't because Nebraska's bad. And it's infuriating when it happens at times like this, because it's like, me, I try and get into his head. I try and be like, okay, here's what I think he was thinking. Let's try and be fair to him here, and I just did it. I laid out what I thought the thought process was based on his comments after the game and what we're watching and all that stuff. And it's just like,
bruh,
I still don't care. You know what I mean? It's like nut up and like, I just don't understand. You have an All-American center who is 6'3", 6'4", 320, and you have a quarterback who is 6'4", 210. If you don't feel confident running the ball, do you not think that the best center in the country and a 6'4", 210 quarterback could fall forward for 3 frickin' feet? What are we doing here? Otherwise, just give the ball to the best running back this program has probably ever seen. Like, it was just like a complete meltdown. Like football coaches, sometimes when they get in these decision-making points, their brains just explode. And like all of us sitting at home, it's like the easiest decision in the world. We see it right in front of us. We have nothing going on in our ears. Nobody's yelling at us on the sideline. And we're just like, yeah, obviously you hand this off. Like, you have the talent. You're gonna beat them. And he's like, and then PJ says, oh, well, I really trusted my defense. Well, if you really trusted your defense, you'd go for it.
Yeah.
Like if you really trusted your defense, you'd say, okay, offense, go for it. Because if you don't, I still have confidence the defense isn't going to let them score. And then you punt it back, and they got awful close. They got
Yeah, they did.
real close.
They did.
It's just like this like risk aversion to the point of no return is going to lose you. I mean, it lost you a big game last year. It lost you the Iowa game last year. You
Oh,
lost the
yeah,
Iowa
for
game
sure.
because you were too scared last year. That cannot happen again. It almost did. And it's just like at some point you have to do something different. And it's just like you even have the better quarterback in for the sneak play that you run all year that nobody can stop. Like and you just go, oh well, my offensive assistants can't pick a play, and I'm scared, so I'm gonna punt it. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna make him go 80 yards instead of forward like 50 or whatever. It's like, dude, your your offense put up 10 points in the third, 10 points in the fourth. They were humming. They were humming the second half. There's you have no excuse. Like
Hmm.
usually there's like an out for him in a lot of these where you could point to something and say, "Oh, this was bad. Oh, that was bad. So, oh, you don't have confidence here, so you could go there." Your offense was humming the entire second half. There's absolutely no reason to not do that. And you had a low snap on a punt earlier in the game. So, Mr. Risk Averse PJ, your long snapper might just chuck one over the head of your punter, and then the game's over and you lose. Like,
Yep.
I don't know. It's just like that one was like that to me. That's the worst one of his career. That one is
Yeah.
really bad.
It was really bad. Like again, I was watching post mortem like after the game was over, like the highlights and everything, all the clips I have, and obviously I have my DVR on YouTube TV. I was just like,
You're like, what happened? Yeah.
I was watching at the moment in IKEA, I probably would have screamed in public. My girlfriend would probably hate me for it the rest of the day. I'm like, why the fuck you do that? I'm like, because PJ just made the dumbest call in college football
Yeah, it's
history.
horrible. But like I'll go
But yeah,
going back really quick. I think he's right and he should have gotten his timeout back. He won't say this, but I think he should have gotten his timeout
correct.
back, and I think we avoid that situation completely if he gets his timeout back because he just burns it there on fourth down and they get to think about it.
Yep,
Which like
I
you
totally
could
agree.
say it you could say essentially is what happened anyway. But what you do then in that situation with a timeout is you still can put your offense on the field. You can look at it and say, what do we like here? Does this look good? Do we not like it? Right? And you can go through that whole process and still sit on this timeout. Then you don't have to run the play. Burn the timeout, bring the
Yeah,
offense back. Hey, what'd you guys see? What do you guys want to do? What do you think? Should we just punt? Like you have a lot more time to make those decisions. So I think if you have that timeout back, it becomes a little bit different of a calculus. And I think it's unfortunate that the officials do their very best to get in the way of these football games. But
correct.
like other than that, like just give it to Mo, give it to eight, let Ethan fall forward behind one of the best centers in the country. Like
Literally,
I don't know what else to say.
I think we have to leave it at that because I really, I'm speechless about what happened that day. So again, in the end, we got the win. We should have lost that because that decision, but we won 20-13. So oh well, we're both eligible now. So, um, but let's brush it off. Wusa, and let's go on to Northwestern. All right.
Yeah, let's do that before I get really angry.
All right. So, game number 10 of the season will be against Northwestern. It'll be at home, airing on Big Ten Network on the 12th here at 2:30 p.m. kickoff. ESPN's FPI is actually favoring the Gophers 91.4% to Northwestern's 8.6%. Betting odds right now, Gophs is favored minus 17.5, with the over under being at 41. Some quick stuff about Northwestern. They're not having a great season at all. They're currently 1-8 overall, 1-5 in conference play, dead last in the Big Ten West division. As for their game last week, they played against number 2 Ohio State, where actually they scored first from an Evan Hall touchdown. They're I think from Evan Hull from Maple Grove, Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
who's playing with the Wildcats, scored that touchdown, and then they haven't really scored again since. With Ohio State scoring 21, actually I think one of Ohio State's low scoring games against a opponent who's not ranked um, in a while. So Northwestern kept it close pretty much for this game.
Eh,
Uh,
eh.
yeah, but other than
I
that,
mean, they played in 20-mile-an-hour winds. I
true,
think in any other weather conditions, I think that's an absolute shellacking.
true,
Um, I think the only reason it looks like it was even close at all is because you had those winds out there that like you really couldn't even throw the ball, like physically you couldn't. So
correct. And they did have a change at quarterback. Ryan Helinski was only 0 for 3 in passing, and then they turned to Brendan Sullivan, who was 10 of 14 for 79 yards. Again, Evan Hull was their lead rusher for 122 yards. On the season, Evan Hull is at 701 yards with four tutties. Um, their lead receiver is Malik Washington, but outside of that, nothing stands out offensively for me on that side of the ball. But their defense, Bryce Gallagher, their lead tackler, and then behind him, Rod Hurt the second and Xander Miller are still pretty good guys on defense. Like, don't get me wrong, like Northwestern's
they're
defense,
gonna be solid on defense.
they're
That is
solid.
who they are. That is what they do. They're gonna make you earn it.
Correct.
You know, they're gonna make you earn those points, and I mean they're gonna be well coached on defense, and they have talent there. That's what they hang their hat on. Uh, First thing I get from looking at this Northwestern team is that they have more passing yards on this season than Minnesota does
Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do.
by about
35
300.
yards.
By about 300 yards. I'm seeing like 16, 1700 ish to like 19, 2000 ish.
Yeah.
Which is just how in the world is that even a thing? Like that should not. That's like if I was Kirk Soraka, I'd print out Nebraska's passing yards stat and just tape it to the wall for
Yeah.
this week for the offense. Just be like, you guys have less passing yards than they do. That's embarrassing. Like it really is. Like I get it that we're a run first team. We have a prolific running back and a solid line when we want to be consistent, but that's not. You're just more talented than Northwestern
Yeah.
on offense. You should have more passing yards than them right now. That's just so stupid.
It is. And I will going into like we mentioned it in the recap of Nebraska, but like I don't want to see Tanner on the field if he's still in protocol regarding that concussion. We don't know the severity because PJ keeps that very confidential until like the staff or the players
Yes, not
both
the
admit
NFL.
it.
No injury report.
Correct. So if Tanner is still feeling the effects of that concussion, I don't want to see him on the field. It's the
Yep,
Ethan
I
show
would.
right there.
I do. I think if he is anything under 100%, I don't think he plays.
Yeah,
So
and it's gonna be the
I
Ethan
think,
show all the way for the Greek rifle.
and also I just think if you're looking at the trajectory of the rest of the season, this is the spot where this is the game where if you have to install a new quarterback for the rest of the year, this is gonna be a good spot to do it.
Correct.
Because
So
no disrespect to Northwestern or
mhm,
anything, but like they are gonna be. You should outclass them. You should. You're
yep,
better. You're better. You have more talent. Like, if this game is close at all, like it's like the Rutgers game again. It's like okay, we understand Nebraska at home is going to be close. That's just kind of the way it goes. You know, they got a lot of juice at home. They always like to hang with teams. It's just who they are. Northwestern, this one should not. This one should not feel bad at all. You should be you should be like figuring out the kinks in your offense and your passing game for the big games down the road.
yep, for sure. But at quarterback, I think if Tanner's in the game, my key is or some keys that I'm thinking if Ethan's in the game, it's going to bring an element to the passing attack um, that we saw at the second half of Nebraska and parts of Penn State, where like he adds that deep that level, like being able to sling the ball down the field, take
Yep.
risks, gunslinger. That's going to be very helpful for the offense to shake things up, especially if we can get it on the play action, the RPOs. Because again, we know Kirk Shiraka, he loves his slants and RPOs. Like that's his bread and butter on offense. And I think Ethan will
Not this year.
complement that. Not this year, but I think Ethan will complement that very, very well. Obviously, we got Mo being in the backfield. As long as I think my key thing, like I think I want to see is that I want the O line to be consistent this game.
Yeah.
Like that's like I feel like this is like the we've harped about this every
Clean
time.
pockets,
Clean
nice
pocket.
holes for the running back, nobody tripping over each other.
Yeah,
Uh, Hopefully your right tackle decides to be anything but a turnstile. Like
yeah,
that would be cool.
yeah. So that's what I see on the offensive side of the ball. I really don't have anything on the defense. This is that be very mindful that the star player for Illinois is their rushing game with Evan Hall. If you can stop the run, make Sullivan or Helinski, whoever's going to be a quarterback, beat you by passing, which we know is not good.
On defense, it's the same as it's been for what, a
Correct.
month now. Tackling's got to be better. Run fits have to be better to start the game. You have to be fundamental on defense right away. You
Yeah.
can't let it. It cannot take a quarter. It can't take a half. You have to
Correct.
come out the gate playing fundamental defense this week.
And then on special teams, Matthew Trickett, be perfect on your kicks as B always asks you to do, and you've been that all season.
Mark
Maybe
Crawford, I hope you just don't have to punt.
correct.
I just hope you
Correct.
don't see the field.
Yeah, or if he does punt, please be more than average for 37 yards a punt.
Sure, I guess. I don't know.
But other than that, I think that was a pretty quick preview for me. Like, I think all the stuff that we bitched about on the recap
Yep.
should carry over to improve.
Yeah, exactly.
Or at least if you don't do that at all, like
This team hasn't taken a step forward
correct.
in like 2 weeks. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like we need to see a step forward. Like the defense, and obviously we mean on offense. The defense is like it's solid. They're like top 20 in scoring in the country. Like you're getting everything you could want from them. You know, they had one stinker in there. Whoopsie. You know,
Mhm.
other than that, like they've been pretty good. They've definitely been the more consistent part of your team, since that's the word of this podcast for the week is consistency. They've been the more consistent unit for you all year. On offense, I think you're going to see the same kind of scheme on defense until you hit the deep ball, and I think they're going to go to it early and often.
Yeah.
I think, especially if Ethan plays, I think you see the offense come out guns blazing. I think you see them just immediately come out and try and push the ball down the field because they want to open it up for Mo and they want to get teams out of this press man cover one stuff that they've been doing to them for basically the entire season now. And until you hit those deep shots, they will not respect it. But
Yeah.
Ethan has the arm talent for you to consistently have productive plays down the field. So I would not be surprised to see them go to those early. And I think you should. I really
Yeah.
think you should right away just go, hey, don't forget about this, like kind of knock them off their game plan a little bit, because then you hit those deep shots, they pull guys out of the box, and now you can do what you really want to do, right? So, and I think, obviously Northwestern knows that too. Pat Fitzgerald and PJ are close. There's
Yeah.
been all those stories about how much they talk to each other and stuff, and it's cool, but like, no fear in the game plan this week. You have a lot of kinks to work out, and you also can't it's good that this game can't be like a game that you look past with Iowa and Wisconsin coming up and you go, oh, we got this one. Like we could start worrying about Iowa and Wisconsin this week. Who cares about Northwestern? I think it's good in a way that you have these issues on offense to figure out, and kind of this perfect laboratory, so to speak, for offensive testing coming in with this Northwestern team.
Yep.
Because they're going to play solid defense, but they're not going to beat you unless you let them.
Correct.
So you have a chance here to really, really work out the kinks before these two big games, and I think that makes it a bigger game than it is on the schedule.
Yeah. And I'm all for that. I think if there's one, besides consistency, I think if we can make Ethan as comfortable as possible, and expand some plays. Like I know it's like we're late in the season, but if we can add more to the passing game, I'd be happy. Like that'll be a step forward at
Hmm.
least than like what we've
I'll
seen in
say
the
it.
last two
I'll
three
say it
weeks.
right now. I'll make a prediction right now.
All right.
PJ, do not get scared when Ethan throws a pick. Don't do it.
Yep.
I think he'll have one. I think he'll have one where he's feeling good, trying to sling it. He feels good. He just makes a bad throw, or something happens, and he's going to turn the ball over.
I'm
Do
gonna make it hurt even more. It's gonna be bounced off the chest of Mike Brown Stevens.
Yeah, why
It's gonna
wouldn't it
be a
be,
pick
right?
that way, and then it ruins that drive.
Just because of
Yeah.
course it would be, because then it's like a perfect throw that your receiver can't make a play. Yeah, that would just be great. And so, uh, just don't get scared. It's okay.
It's
You're
okay,
you're
PJ.
like you're better than this team. You can beat them doing what you do, but like you cannot be so like it's so weird because he's like so reactive one way, but not the other way, right? Like
Yeah.
he's very reactive in like the conservative way, but it like if you're having an aggressive game plan and you're having and he doesn't go the other way and be like, oh, we're just gonna throw the ball 30 times today. We're just gonna sling it. I don't care. We're going for it on 4th and 3 in our own territory. Who cares? Like
Yep.
you're not gonna see any of that from him. And it's just like, ugh. But just don't be afraid. Like let your young guy develop. Just let him go out there and sling it. You'll be all
Yep.
right.
For sure. So going on from there, let's go into score predictions then for this game. So I'll chime in with Wyatt's. So Wyatt is not taking the spread, but he is going to take the over. Gophers take the win 24-14. Then for me, my prediction is I am also not going to take the spread, but I'm going to go take the over 24-17 for this game. Because
Give me 27-7.
all right, so you're gonna take the spread and the
Yep.
under. All right, all
Yep.
right.
I
Cool,
think I
cool.
think I think the under is unless this is an absolute like unless the Gophers come out, we figure it out on offense, we're just kicking the crap out of them up and down the field. I don't really see the over coming into play, but I think if the Gophers win, they cover just because
Yep.
I think they start running the ball and they wear them down, and you get that second touchdown, and yeah,
And then you milk the
so
clock. Milk the
yep.
clock.
So I don't know. I just you just have to be better than this team. You just have to
For sure.
like put the screws to them. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, all right. To be honest, I know we have a third segment, but I'm drained because like the recap of Nebraska took all my energy. So, Soup, do you want to end it tonight from there?
Yeah, I'm just sick of this offense. Please, 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 just try and throw the ball downfield. Just please.
Pretty
Like
please.
they don't all have to be completions. You just got to try. You just have to show that you can do it.
Yep.
I don't know. So
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for watching and listening to OPA Podcast episode 56. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back again next week to recap Northwestern and preview Bacon Pig Week against Iowa after that. And we'll see you guys next time. But also, Soup, do enjoy the game on Saturday as you'll be there, right?
oh yeah.
Awesome. But other than that, everyone, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time. And again, I'm Jason O, along with,
Oh, it's me, soup. Very hot soup.
and we'll see you guys next time. And oh,